As mentioned before, make sure you adhere to a 50-50% balance of citing your sources. So you can cite 50% via attributions or the onset or beginnings of sentences, and via normal in-text citations at the end. You want to vary and maintain that balance of the way that you cite so that you're not just utilizing in-text citations at the end of sentences. Be sure at this level of writing that you are citing every 2 to 3 sentences. Remember, this is important. If you make any claim whatsoever, you need to make sure that it is justified and backed up, reinforced by your source material. There shouldn't be a claim that you make that's not reinforced in some way by source material. You do that, again, by attributing or by utilizing in-text citations. Make sure that you are appropriately citing directly quoted material. This is another huge impacting factor for grading and for plagiarizing. Be sure that if you directly quote any source material, that you're providing an attribution or citation with a page or paragraph number. If you have a citation that does not have a page or paragraph number, technically it is considered plagiarism, which you want to avoid like the plague. Also, be sure that if you are including any empirical or numerical data, or in short, any material that is very closely associated for material you are extracting from a source, make sure that you're including a page or paragraph number. It's helpful. You can never do that too much, and it will always ensure that you're avoiding plagiarism the more that you cite and the more details that you put in your citations. Be sure to keep your APA publication manual close. You can also utilize online resources like APA Purdue OWL. It's a good resource to have just to, kind of cross-reference with the APA publication manual. Keep in mind that no human being can memorize all of the minute and specific rules and parameters of the APA style. The most important thing is to know where to go to look up the information you need, which is in the manual itself. You can look up in the index. It includes information for how to cite, for how many authors, how to include the page and paragraph numbers. It includes how to directly quote, how to block quote. And keep in mind too, block quotes, any direct quotes, 40 plus words, are formatted completely differently than regular direct quotes. So make sure that you're utilizing your APA manual for all of those things. Be sure that you're including appropriate seriation rules. This means APA headers. So each of your sections, for instance, introduction, should have its heading titled introduction in the right format. Your references section should have the same. Any other subsections within your work, make sure that they have the same appropriate formatting for headers, what we call seriation levels in APA. The general rule at this level, it's a little bit lenient, but try to follow the 80-20 rule, wherein 80% of your content is your own wording or paraphrased material, again with citations and attributions, and the remaining 20% material or so may be directly quoted materials or block quotes as necessary. Remember to always ask yourself, is this directly quoted material absolutely integral to the understanding to my thesis and the claim or assumption I'm making? If the answer is yes, direct quote, and you're fine. If the answer is no, then throw it out, scrap it, or omit it. You cannot provide too many directly quoted materials or extremely long block quotes just to cover page count. You have to carefully think about your quotations and whether or not you should add them. Again, use your thesis statement that we developed as your guidepost as you're drafting your content. So those are some big things here. My biggest advice for everyone, aside from reviewing my own feedback to you and your writing packets, is to review sample literature reviews and published studies in the real academic realm. Take a look at the writing style of the academics in published studies. Take a look at the way they're citing, the way that they're attributing, the way that they're adopting complex sentence structures and more robust academic and research-centric verbiage and vocabulary. Your topic may also have some jargon or subject-specific language that you can adopt from what you're seeing in studies and in the literature and research. I'm going to exit out of this and show you where you can find some sample literature reviews. So if you go to modules and you scroll down to, of course, my view looks different. Sample literature review. I've provided two here, two that are in progress. So these two are not without errors, but they're a good guide point of what this looks like at this stage and at this level. So you can click on these and take a look as a guidepost and mimic this as much as possible. And so it'll show you exactly what the formatting should look like, the sentence style, the citations. That's a good example there. The second example is one just like this. And then the third is one where I've provided some grading and feedback on similar analyses such as this. You can see kind of what it looks like. I'm providing feedback on a document like this. Those sample literature reviews are important, but also the best way to learn is by mimicking what you see in the real world. Real studies, empirical studies, data, sources, etc. Start trying to mimic that style, the academic tone, as much as possible. It's muscle memory. The more you engage in it, the more you will become fluent in it. It's very similar to almost a foreign language. Again, you're having to translate your own thoughts into this standard of writing. And you can't do that unless you start speaking the language, right? So you have to practice, and that's another focal point of this first assignment, is to really focus on that writing while still following the research process as you have thus far. I think that should address most of the critical analysis, the overall objectives, purpose of the analysis, some high points of the instructions. I'm going to provide another video with just some writing tips, how to improve your academic tone, what I mean by some of my feedback items. However, remember that the burden falls on the student to tap into all the resources available, including me and my office hours, as well as Reference Librarians, Writing Center, and ARC. If you have any questions about anything, be sure to tap into those resources. Again, make sure that you're practicing efficient time management, as this is an independent project that you are engaging in on your own, along with your other classes and life responsibilities. The textbook is also there as a help. You can look at part 1, part 2. Those are both really important. There's also a section that I did not require, but part 3 or so in that text also includes some examples of drafting content. It's there if you need it as a supplement. However, I encourage looking at other works in the academic realm and looking at some sample literature reviews out in the academic realm, or those that I've provided to give you an idea of what the standard looks like, so that you can bridge the gap between your own style and the style that's required. Finally, and I cannot reiterate this enough, do not submit anything that you are unsure of. Everything that you submit in this analysis should reflect growth in your writing based on my feedback, growth of understanding of research competencies, as you've seen in the videos provided, but also in the reading. And so the assignment is a culmination of all of those things. And so this is not an assignment you can throw together at the last minute because you have a busy schedule for whatever reason. This is an assignment that should reflect everything you've been engaging in independently throughout the progression of the course to date. Remember, the resources are here if you need them. I've also offered to take a look at anything if you want to, utilize me in my office hours as a benefit to you to review your drafted content before submitting. Be sure that you're not submitting a paper that completely ignores any of the feedback I've given you, because that is half of the focus for this first assignment. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here if you need me. I look forward to reviewing everyone's content.